Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well. Welcome back to tonight's second half. Guys, I was going to put this up as a bonus, but there is far too much information in this, important information, proving that the government silences truth seekers and truth bringers. There is from a prominent military source, very important information that the government hid from us for a very long time. Also, there is an audio clip of the government using some sort of electrical whatever to short out a very important truth bringer and truth seeker having a conversation. But before we get into all that, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and now YouTube channel membership, and also the merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and the membership are in the description below. Merch is displayed directly under the video. Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost you a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go, and yes, they definitely matter. Now, with that, I've taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into the second half, shall we? All right, folks, this upload is actually very interesting and jam-packed full of information. The audio clip is from a pioneer of cryptid and paranormal research on podcasts, but there was a very interesting kind of disruption that happened. Ironically enough, the date of that interruption was September 11th, 1997. Let's get into today's upload. You will first hear a hidden by the government for over 40 years diary from Admiral Byrd and what he discovered while he was up in the frozen tundras. I must write this diary in secrecy and darkness. It refers to my Arctic flight on the 19th day of the month of February in the year 1947. There comes a time when the rationality of men must fade into insignificance, and one must accept the inevitability of truth. I am not at liberty to release the following documentation of this writing. It may never see the light of public scrutiny, but I must do my duty to record it here, for all to read one day. In a world of greed and exploitation of some of the humanity, what is true can no longer be repressed. Flight log, Arctic Camp Base, February 19th, 1947. 0600 hours. All preparations are complete for our flight north, and we are airborne with full fuel tanks at 0600 10 hours. 0600 20 hours. Fuel mixture in starboard engine seems too rich. Adjustments has been made, and Pratt Whitneys are running smoothly. 0730 hours. Radio check with base camp. Everything is fine and radio reception is normal. 0740 hours. Slight oil leak on starboard side engine. However, oil pressure gauge appears normal. 0800 hours. Slight turbulence observed in the easterly direction at altitude of 2,321 meters. Correction at 1,700 feet. No additional turbulence, but wind tail is increasing. Slight adjustment to throttle controls. Aircraft running very well now. 0815 hours. Radio check with base camp. Normal situation. 0830 hours. Turbulence encountered again. Altitude increased to 2,900 feet. Flight condition smooth again. 0910 hours. Vast ice and snow below. Yellowing of nature observed and dispersed in a linear pattern. Altering the course to better examine this color pattern below. Reddish or purple color is also observed. Circling this area in 2 full turns, returning to assigned compass direction. Position check again with base camp and relaying information on colorations in the ice and snow below. 0910 hours. Both magnetic and gyro compasses starting to spin and wobble. We are unable to keep our course with the instrumentation. We take orientation with solar compass, however, everything seems to be fine. The controls are quite slow to respond and have a sluggish quality, but there is no indication of icing. 0915 hours. In the distance are what appears to be mountains. 0949 hours. 29 minutes elapsed flight time since the first sighting of the mountains is not an illusion. They are mountains consisting of a small mountain range never seen before. 0955 hours. Change in altitude to 2,950 feet, encountering strong turbulence again. 1000. We are crossing over a small ridge and proceeding north as best we can tell. Beyond the ridge is what appears to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the middle. There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be on ice and snow. On the port side, large forests grow on the slopes of the mountains. Our navigational instruments keep turning. The gyroscope oscillates back and forth. 1005 hours. Altered altitude to 1,400 feet and executed a sharp left turn to better examine the valley below. It is green with moss or a close-knit type of grass. The light looks different here. I can't see the sun anymore. We make another left turn and spot what appears to be a large animal of some kind below us. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible, yet there it is. I lower the altitude to 1,000 feet and grab the binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed. It is definitely a gigantic mammoth-like animal. I report this to base camp. 1030 hours, finding more green hills now. The external temperature gauge reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Continuing our course now. Navigation instruments appear normal now. I'm perplexed by this actions. I tried to contact base camp. The radio is not working. 1130 hours. The field below is flatter and more normal, if I may use that word. Later we detect what seems to be a city. This is impossible. The plane seems strangely light and buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Outside our port and wing starboard is a strange type of aircraft. They are closing fast throughout. They are disc-shaped and radiating. They are close enough to see the markings on them. It's a type of swastika. This is fantastic. Where are we? What has happened? I pull back on the controls. They won't answer. We are trapped in an invisible iron grip of some kind. 1135 hours, our radio crackles and we hear the voice in English with what is perhaps a slight Nordic or Germanic accent. The message is, "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We are going to land it in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral. You're in good hands." I notice that the engines of our plane have stopped working. The plane is under some strange control and is now turning over on its own. The controls are useless. 1140 hours. Another radio message is received. We begin the landing process now, and within moments the plane shudders slightly and begins to descend, as if we are trapped in some great invisible elevator. Downward motion is negligible, and we land with only a slight jolt. 1145 hours. I am making a last hasty entry in the flight log. Several men approach our plane on foot. They are tall with blonde hair. In the distance is a large glittering city that vibrates with the colors of the rainbow. I don't know what's going to happen now, but I don't see any sign of weapons on those approaching. I hear a voice now ordering me by name to open the cargo door. I comply. End of registration. From this point, I write all the following events here from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem almost crazy if it had not happened. The radio operator and I are taken from the aircraft and received in the most cordial manner. Then they put us on a small platform as a means of transport without wheels. He took us towards the shining city with great speed. As we got closer, the city seemed to be made of a crystal material. We soon come to a large building that is of a type I have never seen before. It appears to be lifted from Frank Lloyd Wright's design plate, or perhaps more correctly from a Buck Rogers. We have been given some kind of hot drink that tasted like nothing I have ever tasted before. It was delicious. After about 10 minutes, 2 of our wonderful hosts come into our rooms and announced that I was to join them. I have no choice but to comply. I leave my radio operator behind and we walk a short distance and enter what appears to be an elevator. We descend downwards for a few moments. The machine stops and the door silently raises upward. We continue on foot through a long corridor illuminated by a pink light that seems to emanate from the very walls. One of the beings motioned for us to stop before a large door. Above the door was an inscription that I could not read. The great door slides silently open, and I am beckoned to enter. One of my hosts speaks. "Do not be afraid, Admiral. You will have an audience with the master." I walk in and my eyes adjust to a beautiful coloration that seems to be completely filling the room. Then I begin to see what surrounds me. What my eyes saw is the most beautiful sight of my entire existence. In fact, it is too beautiful and wonderful to describe. It is delicate. I don't think there is a human term that can fairly describe it in detail. My thoughts are cordially interrupted by a warm voice of melodic quality. "I welcome you to our domain, Admiral." I see a man with delicate features and the engraving of the years on his face. He is sitting at a long table. He motions me to sit in one of the chairs. After I sit down, he steeples his fingers and smiles, speaks softly again, and convey the following. "We have let you in here because you are of noble character and well known in the surface world, Admiral." "The surface world," I half shouted underneath my breath. "Yes," replies the master with a smile. "You are in the domain of the Aranani, the inner world of Earth. We will not delay your mission, and you will be escorted safely back to the surface and for a distance beyond. But now, Admiral, I will tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest begins right after your race exploded the first atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that startling moment that we sent our flying machines, the Flugelrads, to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. This is, of course, past history, my dear Admiral, but I must continue. You see, we have never interfered before in either the wars or the barbarism of your race. But now we must, because you have learned to manipulate a certain power that is not for man. That is that of atomic energy. Our missionaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not listen. Now you have been chosen to be a witness here that our world exists. You see our culture and science in thousands of years beyond your race, Admiral. I interrupted him. But what does this have to do with me, sir? The master's eyes seemed to penetrate deep into my mind, and after studying me for a few moments, he replied, Your race has reached a point of no return, for there are some among you who would destroy their own world rather than relinquish their power as they know of it. I nodded, and the master continued, In 1945 and after, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility. Our Flugelrads were shot at. Yes, we were even maliciously pursued with animosity by your fighter planes. So now I tell you, my son, there is a great storm brewing in your world, a black fury that will not pass itself away for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. I could ravage until every flower of your culture is trampled underfoot, and all things human are leveled in one vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude to what is to come for your race. We here see it more clearly of each hour. You say I'm wrong? No, I reply. It has happened once before. The Dark Ages came and lasted for more than 500 years. Yes, my son, answered the master. The Dark Ages that will come now for your race will cover the earth like a pall. But I believe that some of your race will survive through the storm. Beyond that I cannot say. We see at great distance a new world rising from the ruins of your race. Searching for its legendary lost treasures, and they will be here, my son, safely in our custody. When the time comes, we will go forth again to help revive your culture and your race. Perhaps by then you will have learned the futility of war and its struggle. And after that time, surely your culture and your science will be returned to your race to start anew. You, my son, are going to return to the surface of the world with this message. With these last words, our meeting seemed to have come to an end. I stayed for a moment as if in a dream, but nevertheless I knew that this was reality. And for some strange reason, I bowed a little, either out of respect or humility. I do not know which. Suddenly I found myself once again aware that the two beautiful hostesses who had brought me through here were once again at my side. This way, Admiral, one indicated. I turned once more before walking out and looking toward the master. A soft smile spread across their delicate, ancient face. Goodbye, my son. He waved his beautiful, slender hand in a gesture of peace, and our meeting was truly over. We quickly walked back through the large door of the master's chamber and once again entered the elevator. The door slid silently down, and at that same time, we went up. One of my hosts spoke again. Now we must hurry, Admiral, as the master does not wish to delay you any further from your scheduled time, and you must return with your message to your race. I didn't say a thing. All of this was almost unbelievable, and once again my thoughts were interrupted when we stopped. I walked into the room, and I was back with the radio operator. He had a worried expression on his face. As I approached, I told him, "It's okay, Howie. It's all right." The two beings gestured us towards the transport that was waiting for us. We boarded, and soon returned to the airship. The engines were warming up, and we boarded immediately. The whole atmosphere now seemed charged with a certain air of urgency. As the plane's cargo door closed, the plane was immediately lifted by an unseen force until we reached an altitude of 2,700 feet. Two of the planes were close at a distance, guiding us on our way back. I must immediately say here, the speedometer was not registering a reading. However, we were moving at a very fast pace. "215 hours, a radio message is transmitted. We are leaving them now, Admiral. The controls were clear. Off Wiedersehen." He watched us for a moment as the Flugelrades disappeared into the pale blue sky. The plane suddenly felt as if it had been caught in a strong downdraft for a moment. He quickly regained control. We did not speak for some time. Each man had his own thoughts of him. Flight log entry continued. 220 hours. We are back in the vast areas of ice and snow and approximately 27 minutes from base camp. We talk to them on the radio. They respond, "All normal conditions present. Normal base camp expresses relief at our re-established contact." 300 hours. We land softly at base camp. I have a mission. End of entry registration. March 11th, 1947. I just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have fully stated my discovery and Master's message. Everything is properly registered. The President has been informed. Now I'm detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I was initially interviewed by the top security forces and a medical team. It was an awful experience. I'm under strict control through the national security provisions of the United States of America. I was ordered to remain silent regarding everything I have learned. In the name of humanity. Incredible. This reminds me that I am a military man and that I must obey orders. December 30th, 1956. Final entry. These past few years since 1947 have not been kind. I now make my final entry in this unique diary. In closing, I must say that I have faithfully kept this matter a secret all of these years as directed. It has been completely against my moral right values. Now it seems to me that the night is approaching, and this secret will not die with me. But like all truth, it will triumph, and so will I. This may be the only hope for humanity. I have seen the truth, and this has quickened my spirit and set me free. I have done my duty to a monstrous military-industrial complex. Now the long night begins to draw near, but it will never end. Just as the long night of the Arctic ends, the bright sun of truth will come again, and those who are in the darkness will fall into its light. For I have seen that land before or beyond the pole, the center of the great unknown. Admiral Richard E. Byrd, United States Navy, December 24th, 1956. 56. All right, guys, some very terrifying and interesting information from Admiral Byrd's diary. Why did the government keep it a secret for so long? And here's my thing. Is it really the entire diary of what he had going on up there? I doubt that the government really allowed the entirety of that voyage to be known to us. But it's interesting enough, the little bit of information they released. Now, on to the audio proof. September 11th, 1997. A gentleman called into Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell and was talking about Dulce. 2 minutes into that conversation, it was cut off, taken down off of air, just shut down. Who did it? Well, my guess is the government. Here's that little clip.
Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're going to triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens, Art, they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharge.
I started getting...
Some way, something knocked us off the air, and we're on a backup system now.
It's the government, or?
I don't know.
It has to be something, though.
Well, did you hear? Now, you tell me because you were listening.
That was awful strange.
There was a really weird guy on the air when it went off?
Yeah. Real weirded out.
Like going sort of sounding paranoid, schizophrenic?
Like crying and everything.
Yeah. And how far into the conversation was it when it went off?
Just a couple, about 15, 20 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, you guys you really missed a call then, and I've got a feeling somebody didn't want you to hear it.
Yeah. Because it was really strange. All of a sudden, I'm hearing Mark Furman, and That's
right. Well, the network, of course, went immediately to a backup tape while we tried to figure out what blew up here.
Uh-huh.
So that's what you heard happen.
Uh-huh.
and then we're now on a backup link system to be on the air at all right now. So, well, I'm telling you.
Am I on the air right now?
You're on the air right now. Well, you better be, yes.
And
where are you, by the way?
I'm in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, I called the other night, and I wanted to ask two things.
Real quick.
Well, I wanted to say one thing, and I wanted to ask another.
Real quick.
I want to ask if you could play that remote viewing one when you were while you go to Egypt.
Yes.
And also, I wanted to know all this stuff about, like, Area 51, if it's, like, the government's trying to put it out there like that, so, like, some other places isn't being touched as much.
In other words, it's a big decoy. I see what you're saying. Aaron, apparently we'll be back after the news, I think. Sandy Beach here, inviting me. Lost all transmit capability on this end here in Nevada. The transmitter went belly up suddenly for some unknown reason. I've never seen it do this in all the years that we've been on the air. I have never seen the transmitter in this way just simply fail, massively fail, like a massive heart attack of some kind. And so we have gone to a backup system to get the signal to you right now, and I presume it is getting to you right now.
All right, guys, some definitely crazy information, crazy interruption on that classic September 11th, 1997, Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Pretty much the pioneer of what we do here. It's just amazing. And I was talking to Mr. Shackleneck, subscriber. He remembers hearing that live back in 97 and blew me away. Anyway, guys, thank you for supporting this channel. Your support is what makes this channel so special. I truly appreciate it. With that being said, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and God bless you all.